point that Hari can be anyone. It can be Kumar, it can be Chandru, it can be anyone. Why are those, why are those two characters, the journalist or whatever they why are they in the film? This is my first question. And my second question is, uh, uh, the Yakshagana folk dance or folk form, in the film, the gender confusion of Hari started for not exactly for, but somehow for the participating in that folk. So have you, while researching for the film, have you ever found any Yakshagana Stri Veshadhari artist uh, whom the folk helped in discovering their gender, in asserting their gender? And these are my two questions.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for watching the film, firstly. I will take your second question first. When we were doing the research, we did come across a lot of Yakshagana artists who um, went through the same conflict. Okay, for some it was helpful, and they to identify with their gender. Performance did help them. There's also one Veshadhari who wrote a book about this his experience and how Yakshagana changed his understanding of gender itself. Okay, so yes, this is taken from lives of so many Yakshagana artists that we researched. And second question, that's the first question of about Sharmila and Sundar. The film, I wanted also the film to be not just about performance, gender, search for identity and things like that, but there is this, Sharmila and Sundar are also searching for something. And what I wanted to say through that is, if you notice that Sharmila keeps saying that you talk about Harishchandra, you talk about Hari, everybody is Hari for her, which means that we are somewhere creating our own reality for ourselves, or our own reality. Like she says, I'll be happy if Hari dies. In the last line she says, that will please everybody if he's dead, which means that she's constructing her own narrative about Hari's life. And that is what we're all doing about somebody else's life. So that is what it represents us, it represents me, so yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, but what I was trying to say is, see, we're always looking at gender in binaries, okay? And gender need not be in binaries. And that was what I was trying to understand through this. And that was one element. And the second element is that gender is always performative. So whatever gender you're trying to uh, represent, it is in performance of that gender that you're confirming to that gender. So the whole thought of this film began like that when I was in LV Prasad. I did my film school in LV Prasad, film training in LV Prasad in Chennai. As a part of the course, we were to do a documentary, and while I was doing the documentary, I was doing a documentary on a person called Shankari, who was a transgender sex worker in Chennai. While we were shooting her, I noticed her projection of gender was very different from what I was understanding. For me, what my idea of being a woman was very different from her idea of being a woman. And then this whole questioning began, saying so what is gender? Why are we always performing that particular gender in both binaries? Even when you're saying she's a transgender, she's also performing the gender of in the binary construction itself. So then I started thinking about that. So that was my journey or my exploration in this film. So I don't think I was trying to highlight any masculinity or anything like that in this film.
Question is, without going into the issues of gender and all these things, how prevalent is this form, Yakshagana form, number one, and is it still around in?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if so, in that case, um, how prevalent is the problem that we see, these people facing, in real life, how in their practical life, in their everyday life, how prevalent is this problem? Dealing with the everyday life, say from in the externals, purely in terms of externals, dealing with people, dealing with villages, dealing with, many of those things, which have been highlighted in this film.
Um, so every time we're looking at this kind of a structure, we're saying it is not normal. We're secluding it from normal and looking at it. But what I was also trying to say is that traditionally and in folk art forms, there's a very inclusive of all such expressions. So in Yakshagana, this kind of a questioning is more, as the art form, it includes all of this. So that was one point that I was trying to say, that even in our mythology, there are a lot more spaces where you can see that character has expressed itself in different ways. So we have these kind of pockets that which are more inclusive of all of this. So that was another very important element that I wanted to bring about, and so hence I chose Yakshagana.
Well, actually, maybe, I was not able to put my question. What I wanted to understand is, as real people, Yakshagana artists, do they face the kind of problems that these people are facing?
Yes, they do.
They do. So it is a problem they have to deal with, and live with, and it's.
Yes, it is. It is there. Many of Yakshagana artists have come forward and in their biographies mentioned and spoken about things like this. That has
the kind of an ostracization and
yes,
stuff.
Yes, yes.
People like towards the end. When this older Yakshagana artist and this guy, they're living together. The villagers come and so this kind of.
Yes, this kind of things have happened, and most of it is based on real incidences that we found when we were doing the research. So many of the incidents that you see are not that has happened in one person's life, but many people that we met and discussed and understood, they have all expressed this concern.